All right, what is up, guys? Today's a new day. I'm gonna be throwing on pretty much the time belt today. So I had to clean off the pulleys because I had a Gates blue racing time belt, and that left a lot of dye behind. So I am actually done cleaning that off camera. I didn't want to record that because that was gonna be pretty boring. So today we're gonna install the time belt. So I have the cam gears chilling right here. So yeah, these bad boys are gonna be thrown on today. It's gonna be very nice to see these things on there, and I'm also throwing the timing tensioner on as well, which is in the garage. So this is gonna be pretty nice. It's gonna be a nice little install video and keep this build going, and then hopefully, I don't know if it's gonna be running this weekend, but that's my plan. That's my hope. I think it might not be possible. I don't know. It all depends on how the fuel pump install goes, because I've never done one of those, and I feel like the wiring is gonna be a little tricky. But if all goes well, it'll be running this weekend, or it'll be running next weekend. So we'll see. So we got this thing all set up here. So I got the tensioner bracket right here. So I still got to finish assembling this thing because I had to take it apart because the one that I had on there got recalled, like I said. So this is the updated part number. I already put the little weather stripping gasket in the back. So I'm gonna throw on the tensioner on here, tighten everything down with Loctite, and then get this thing on there. So all right, let's get to this thing. And then there are torque specs for every single bolt for the IAG kit. So just make sure you torque everything to spec. And they say that you should use red Loctite, but I kind of don't want to deal with taking the red Loctite off when I get everything off again if I have to. So I'm just using blue Loctite. I think it should be all right. I'm just torquing just a little bit over by like half a foot-pound or a foot-pound if that. So just food for thought. All right, so let's see what the torque spec is for the actual bracket here. Looks like it's 18.1 foot-pounds. So we are already there. All right, there's one, it's two, and that's three. After you torque that down, that is when you can start installing the tensioner pulley and the actual tensioner itself. So we'll start installing this for real now, and then it should be good. Here's some of the blue Loctite that I use. Just put just a little bit on there. A little bit on there as well. Like, you really don't have to put a lot on there. So that should be enough. And this thing does get oriented a certain way, like the actual pulley goes on a certain way. So just want to make sure that goes on the right way. I think this pulley might be oriented the right way. So pretty much the way to tell is by looking at the picture. So this has to be facing, the little hole has to be facing outward, so it's not oriented the right way. So this has to go out the other way. All right, so now that is on there, you are going to torque this bad boy down to spec, and then we're gonna get the actual tensioner on there and torque that down to spec, and then we should be golden to start getting the cam gears on, and then throw the time belt on with the idler, and then get it all set. So I'm actually pretty excited. It's gonna look so good. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so I got the tensioner bolts in there. So now let's figure out what the torque spec is for these, and then we can get everything all torqued to spec. See here, 18 foot-pounds for the ones mounting the tensioner bolt, and then it's 28.8 foot-pounds for the actual pulley. So I'm already the torque spec I need to be. And there you go, torque to spec. Cool. Now the other one was going to be 28. So I got the torque wrench all set to what it needs to be. I am forgetting that I'm using an adapter on this. So there you go. And there you go. That is all installed now. So now we can get around to putting the rest of the belt stuff on, cam gears, all that good stuff, and this is gonna look so good. Oof, I can't wait. It's so baller. So yeah, let's get that stuff installed and keep on going with the process. It's just, I love the way this is already looking, so let's go. So here is the left hand side intake. So you can see they have adjustments here. You can adjust pretty much how many degrees you need to advance or retard when it comes to the timing. Just like as like a note, so pretty much dead center is right here in the middle. There's gonna be one line right here on the right, it's left over, and then the one on the left as well. That's how you know that you're dead center. These go torque down to 12.2 foot-pounds, and then you should be all straight. So for anybody curious on how these actually go and get torqued. I already got the left-hand side intake on. This is the right-hand side exhaust. Essentially, how you're gonna put these cam gears on, same thing with the OEM ones. There's gonna be a little dowel that you have to pretty much align it with. So as long as the cam gears align with the dowel, it should go through all the way smooth. And once you actually get it on there, make sure that it's inside that dowel and make sure it doesn't move out of place, because if you get it lopsided and you tighten it down, you're gonna have a bad time. So make sure that the cam gear is actually rotating smooth and that it doesn't seem kind of wobbly or anything like that. Just make sure it's all nice, smooth, and straight. Pretty much what I do is I'll get the cam gear on, line it up with the dowel, and then just put the bolt and just hand tighten it so that way it doesn't move around, and then just call it good. So I'm gonna get this one on, and then I'll show you guys showing on the left hand side exhaust and show you guys how to get that thing on there. All right, so we'll get started with installing this left hand side exhaust, which is pretty much the last pulley I need to get on there. I have a feeling I have some clearance issues with the other pulley for the exhaust on the passenger side. So we're gonna go ahead, line this up, throw it on there, and then just hand tighten the bolt. I'm gonna try to figure out what's going on with the other one, because it sounds like it's scraping and it's not good at all. So there we go. That is lined up. So now we'll just hand tighten it on there. For some odd reason, it's just the other side on the exhaust that sounds like it's scraping. Everything else seems to be okay. So we're gonna have to figure out why the other one is pretty much the way that it is, because it's not right. It's not right at all. So these two are okay. This one's okay, and this one does not sound good at all. So I need to figure out why this one right here is scraping. It's super weird, and don't really have an explanation as to like why. It's just that doesn't sound good at all. So we have to figure out what's going on with this one. It's kind of stressing me out. I have a feeling it's gonna have to do with this plastic guide. So I might have to order another one if that's the case. This is putting this thing to a halt, which sucks. And I really want to get this all set and done. So we'll get this figured out. We're gonna go ahead and get this cam gear off again. This really sucks. And also, those bolts I have are not the regular hex caps that go on these. It's the TICFE bolts, and it looks like it might be scraping on the inside. Not what I wanted to see. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's kind of scraping right there. You can kind of see the little marks on him. Yeah, this is not good. I'm gonna have to either get another rear cover for it, or I'm gonna have to shave down the current one on there. So, oh man, this sucks. We'll get it figured out though. I'm gonna try it one more time and see if it's still making a noise. Yeah, because that's definitely not correct by any means. So yeah, let's see. All right, so I just removed the little rear cover off, and I do indeed have a problem with clearance. So now I took it off, perfect, literally nothing. So I'm gonna have to figure out what exactly is causing it to scrape. I'm probably gonna have to file it down just a little bit to just get it clear, and then I think we should be okay afterwards. But it's such a bummer that this is scraping on the cam gear. I didn't think I was gonna have any problems with it, so yeah, we'll keep going with it. So I'm gonna go make a quick run to my dealer and see if we have any of those timing covers in stock. The other one I'm just gonna replace. I mean, I'm already gonna be there, so I'm gonna replace both of them, and then hopefully the install from there goes pretty smoothly. So we'll see. So we're back. I got the new covers on. It works now. Looks like the cam gear is actually starting to clear. So after all, I guess the timing cover that I had in the back for that one is not the correct one. So I'm not sure why, but this one fit perfectly fine now. So I'm gonna continue with putting the cam gears on, and hopefully we can do the timing today. Fingers crossed. All right, so everything's now in time. I have the time edges there. I don't have a white marker to mark this. I'm probably gonna have to go buy one, and then I'll roll this thing over around the camshafts and get the bottom idler pulley on there, get it around, and it should be set as far as timing goes, and put the clear timing cover on, and then do the harmonic balancer pulley on there, and I think we should be all right. So I'm gonna leave this little clip at that, and you guys will see me back with the timing belt marked with white marker, and we'll get this whole timing belt process done. Just gotta make sure your markings are lined up. There's markings everywhere, even on the actual crank. Just make sure everything's all lined up, and then get everything all timed, and then you guys should be all square. But yeah, I might have to go buy a marker, so I'll be back with a marker if anything. So I'm back with a nice little paint marker. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark where the marks are at for the timing belt. One there, one here. Just makes it easier to install it, so you might as well. There's one there. There's one there. So now we can start. We start timing this right here. So essentially, you're gonna move these two gears. Let me angle this down just a little bit more so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Bam. So there's two gears here. Obviously, you need to make sure you line up the timing marks. And I already have them lined up, so let me see if I can maybe get it back to where it was before. So now that everything's lined up, the timing markings that you're looking for those markings to line up right there. They should line up to the cover right here. There's like a little notch that it lines up to, and then there's also one on the right side that you can't see. There's a notch there. It's really more those two that are the most important to line up. And then it'll be the same story on this side right over here. It's two lines. They are all marked up and lined up, so these should be all good to go. Actually, no, it looks like this one actually moved out of its way too, so I need to move this one back. And then we should be all good afterwards, so we'll get these things all lined up again, and we should be all straight to get this time belt on there. Now we're ready to put the time belt on. It's gonna be kind of a pain in the butt. This goes over this right here. You gotta make sure that your crank one stays in place, and then you gotta make sure that your timing marks are aligned. So you're gonna see if this is lined up. So what you're gonna see is some markings on the timing belt. So there's gonna be a straight line. You marked out the marker on the outside to make it easier to line it up. You gotta make sure that marking lines up with the timing gear. So as long as that aligns with the cam gear, you should be okay. It shouldn't be an extra tooth or not over, and then pretty much just go from there. So line these up here. This is kind of like the scarier part, because this is like where the spring will, the cam will really want to retension itself and whatnot, and it's just such a pain to get these things lined up. And the thing just spun. Such a pain getting these to line up. Alright, so that's lined up there. So this side's on. Hopefully that doesn't slip out of place. Fingers crossed that it does not. So yeah, once you get that one on, that's when you're gonna move over to the other side and get the other one all set up. So I'm gonna move this over to this side, over here. This one's gonna be really hard for you guys to see. I'm sorry. It's gonna be very hard to get a nice angle on that. But it's gonna be the same concept. You line up the belt where it's supposed to be at, essentially. So. All right, so everything all lined up here. I forget that I have adjustable idlers, so it's gonna really make my timing a little bit off. So that's gonna be the reason why my lines aren't really lining up with the belt. It's because of those adjustable idlers right there. I have another one on top over here. So I don't know if you guys can see there, but that line is all where it's supposed to be at. It's lined up, and then the top one right here is all lined up as well. So I know it's not lined up to the actual casing for the timing cover, but it is lined up enough to the point where I can adjust the top and the bottom idlers to get it into place. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install this lower pulley right here. This is gonna be the next step. Install the lower pulley and then hand tighten it first, hand thread it, and then from there we're pretty much gonna tighten everything up and then undo this tensioner. And then once you undo the tensioner, it's gonna grab tension on everything, and you essentially you loosen these and you pretty much rotate in accordance to however it is that you need to actually adjust your actual gears. I think the top one is probably for the left bank, or technically that's the right bank. And I think the bottom one is for the right bank. So I think top is left bank, bottom is right bank, or it'll be the opposite. It'll be either or. And then that's how you get your timing completely squared away. The reason why I do these is like if you do machining on your heads, this will really benefit you because your timing marks are never really gonna line up and be perfect. So that's when this really comes into play. So we'll get this all set up here. Go ahead and install this idler. It goes under the belt, guys, so just keep that in mind. It goes under the belt, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna bring the belt up just enough to the point where you can actually start threading the screw in there. All right, so I got it in there. So you want to make sure you hand tighten it first to prevent any type of cross threading. These are super easy to cross thread. That's the last thing you want. It's a cross threaded idler pulley. So, all right, seems to be going in there fairly smoothly. So keep going at it until it bottoms out. So like I said, this is a very crucial part of your timing system, especially if you have adjustable idlers. You definitely don't want to cross thread this. Like, it's gonna make your life hell if you did. So, all right, seems about bottomed out there. So it actually looks like my right hand side is pretty lined up. That's actually, wow, that is pretty spot on. The belt is not exactly lined up to the cover though. So let's see here. So yeah, the two, it looks like the timing marks are pretty much lined up where they need to be. So that's all done there. And then, wow guys, this is actually very spot on. There's not really much for me to do here. Wow, okay. So, have you guys take a look, see what I'm talking about here. So, this one here, the two cams, they are lined up, there you go, dead even, dead center. The top one, that one is always gonna be kind of a hit or miss. If I went one tooth over to the other side, it would be way off. And if I went obviously another tooth over to the side, it just wouldn't even make sense. So that is pretty lined up, I would say. So that's looking good there. And then there's one more line here that you need to match up. So it's that one there. It should match up to that one right there. So that one's all lined up and ready to go. And just to double check these. So you have the two lines here. It's marked and marked. So that is good to go as well. Yeah, so we should be set. See, I think that one might be the same story as the other. I think if I move it over, one is going to be a little bit too much. But we can actually give that another try, give it another go, and see how that turns out. I'm actually not liking how that's looking there. And this one here, I think this one right here was pretty spot on. Yeah, that one is pretty spot on right there. So you just gotta make sure everything lines up to make sure your timing doesn't get out of place and mess up an engine. So we'll give it another go on the other side. All right, once you have everything all lined up and stuff, you're gonna crank this. Make sure everything's looking good. And then just remember that once you guys actually finish doing the whole timing belt install, the timing belt is not going to line back up afterwards. Okay, so that's lined up there. So the timing belt is not going to line back up, like I said. That's, yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that it'll only do it once and it won't do it twice. So after you get everything all lined up, you just gotta check the marks again, make sure everything's looking good. That one is looking all right. Steer looking good. Crank one is looking good as well. And then those are a little bit off. Kind of has to be expected. I have the adjustable idlers, so I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the idlers and make sure I can get it back to center point. And then I'll torque it back to spec and we should be golden. Essentially, with these adjustable idlers, I'm not sure which one exactly is going to be to adjust this bank right here. It'll be either the top or bottom. Essentially what you do, you get a little socket for this one and you're going to turn this one, and essentially with you turning the angle on this, it's going to give you a certain amount, and once you get to the amount desired, you torque it down. So essentially, I'm not sure if I ever explained how it is that you want these to go. So remember that the belt is pushing up here. So since the belt is pushing up against this, you want this to be facing kind of towards, a little bit more towards this side, the eccentric side of the bolt or the actual pulley, because when you think about like how, you know, friction works and all that stuff, if you're pushing up against this, you're technically like tightening that bolt so that bolt will not loosen itself. Now, if you had this on the opposite side, there's a very high chance that there's going to be enough torque to actually push this pulley over this way and loosen the bolt. So yeah, so we'll get to this and we'll adjust this need be, and then get these two back to spec so they're all lined up. So I'm gonna get to it now. So now that I have everything adjusted, this is supposed to be on the left side and then the bottom is supposed to be on the right side as far as the nut goes, that little adjustment nut. Everything's all good now, everything's all properly lined up. So now I can go ahead and torque this last idler pulley down and then start torquing the cams, and then that is it. This is pretty much all that you need to do time belt on the Subaru. It's a little bit more difficult because I had to buy some parts and whatnot. It was kind of a pain, but I mean, so far it's done. So that's one thing off of the checklist now. Now you get your torque wrench, torque down to 45 foot-pounds. And there you go. 45 foot-pounds. We should make sure this was at 45 as well. So then move just a little bit. There you go, 45 foot-pounds. So we're all good now. Last thing I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to do this once I get the harmonic balancer on, is get these pretty much torqued down to spec, and that should be it. That is it for this part of the video. I appreciate you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. I am trying my best to help you guys out and trying my best to explain how to do all these things. It's a little difficult at times for sure. But yeah, I mean, everything's going pretty smoothly other than breaking the timing covers in the rear. And yeah, we'll keep this thing going. Timing's all done. Soon, this whole top section will be done, and then we'll move over to the fuel setup in the back, which is going to be the biggest portion of this video. And we'll get this thing running, and then hopefully we'll be at 6,700 wheel horsepower. It'll be fun in this chassis right here. So I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.